The sun paints the sidewalks gold in Willow Creek Estates, a gated community where hedges are trimmed like military fades and driveways gleam like showroom floors. Here, everything looks perfect, almost too perfect. And yet, underneath the pristine lawns and polite smiles, something always simmers. I roll my chair down the path beside my porch, the wheels clicking rhythmically over the bricks. My gardenias bloom bright this year. A small joy. A small victory. I water them every morning like clockwork before I head to my home office and start the day's docket. What the neighbors don't know, what they've never bothered to ask, is that I'm a sitting federal judge. Not that I'd expect them to care. To them, I'm just the woman in the wheelchair. And more importantly to some, the black woman in the wheelchair. "Morning, Judge Cole," calls Mr. Myers, a kind old vet from across the street. He's one of the few who use my title who sees past the chair, the skin. Most just nod, tight-lipped, polite. Some avert their eyes entirely, like acknowledging me would break some invisible rule of the HO. So I like my quiet. The solitude. The illusion of peace. That illusion cracks the moment I notice it. A red slip of paper flutters on my mailbox. A violation notice. I will closer, heart already sinking. The font screams passive aggression. Improper equipment stored in public view. Immediate removal required or face daily fines. I blink. Equipment? My fingers twitch as I read it again. They're talking about my backup wheelchair. The one I keep tucked near the garage under a tarp. My electric chair's been giving me trouble lately, and the manual one is my lifeline. I look up, scanning the street. There's a kayak leaning on a neighbor's fence. A rusting bicycle across the road. But it's my chair they've singled out. Just a warning, I tell myself. Probably some overzealous HOA assistant ticking boxes. Still, something's off. Because this isn't the first time. Last month they accidentally cut my garden hose during lawn maintenance. Before that, my reserved handicap parking spot was repainted, with no notice. When I called to ask why, the board said they were simply updating the layout. Funny how no one else's space moved. I glanced toward the HOA office, just a few blocks down the road. It sits like a courthouse itself, centered and smug. They think I'm powerless. That I'll take their fines, their erasures and smile through it. They don't know who I am. Not yet. But the notice? It's not just paper. It's the first domino. And I can feel it deep in my bones. Something bigger is coming. And this time I won't be quiet. The next morning the wheelchair is gone. Not moved. Not misplaced. Gone. I sit there in my robe, blinking at the empty patch beside the garage. The tarp lies in a crumpled heap on the lawn like it's been yanked off and tossed. My heart skips. My mouth goes dry. I check the Ring camera. The footage is missing. Just a blank space between 2:04 a.m. and 2:57 a.m. Like someone reached into the system and erased time. I call the HOA. A woman answers. Perky nasal. Willow Creek Homeowners Association, this is Bethany speaking. Hi Bethany. This is Judge Dana Cole. My wheelchair was taken from my property last night. I'd like to review any security footage the HOA has access to. A beat of silence. Then she says too quickly, "Oh, I'm not sure we have footage in that area. Let me check with our community manager." Hold music. 5 minutes pass. Then 10. Finally, a different voice comes on the line. Deep, clipped, deliberate. "Judge Cole. This is Martin Granger, president of the HOA. I understand you're calling about a missing item." I lean forward. "My wheelchair, Mr. Granger. It was taken from my property overnight. I'd like to see any security footage that might help identify who." "We do sweep the neighborhood regularly," he interrupts, "to ensure the visual integrity of the community remains intact. It's possible your device was mistakenly removed by our maintenance team." Device. He says it like it's an eyesore, a nuisance. Not a vital extension of my body. "You removed medical equipment without notice?" I ask, keeping my tone even. "That's theft, Mr. Granger. And a violation of federal ADA protections." There's a pause. Barely a second, but it simmers. "Well, Judge, if the item was left in public view, it may not have met our standards. Our covenants are very clear. Perhaps next time store it inside, like everyone else stores their bikes and tools." But that wasn't a tool. That was my wheelchair. His voice sharpens. You'll have to file a formal complaint. Have a good day. The line goes dead. I sit still, the silence in my home deafening. Outside, neighbors walk their dogs, water their lawns, wave to each other with carefree ease. But something's shifted. I see it now. The careful way eyes skip over me. The tight smiles. The nods that feel like dismissals. Bethany. Granger. The HOA board. They don't see me as a judge. They see a disabled black woman who doesn't quite fit the image of their perfect little enclave. And now they're using that image against me. I call the police to file a report. The officer sounds apologetic but uninterested. Probably just a mix-up, he says. Not much we can do without proof. Exactly what they're counting on. I hang up. I stare at the space where my chair used to be. I may not have proof yet, but something is very wrong in Willow Creek. And I intend to find out how deep it goes. 3 days pass. No word from the HOA. No apology. No returned calls. My backup wheelchair, my lifeline, is still gone. I file an ADA violation complaint through the Department of Justice and copy the HOA on the email. Still silence. So I decide to confront them. Willow Creek's HOA office is nestled between the clubhouse and tennis courts, both buzzing with laughter and the soft thwack of rackets. I wheel through perfectly laid stone tiles, past a sign that reads Willow Creek, where excellence resides. The irony stings. Inside, the air smells of fake lemons and entitlement. Bethany sits at the reception desk, her lips pressed into a smile so thin it could cut glass. "Can I help you?" she asks, eyes darting to the security guard in the corner. "I'm here to speak with Mr. Granger," I say calmly. She taps on her keyboard, fake typing. "I'm afraid he's not available. He's in a meeting." I smile back. "I'll wait." She fidgets. "It could be a while." "I have time." 10 minutes later, Granger emerges. He's tall, tanned, and smug in a navy blazer he probably wears to feel important. He stops when he sees me, feigning surprise. "Judge Cole," he says, "what a surprise." "I filed a formal complaint, Mr. Granger." Still no response. He glances at Bethany. "We've been busy with board business." "You mean harassing residents?" I ask. "Because I also received a notice this morning. Said my front garden is out of compliance." He chuckles dryly. "Your roses are over the height limit. HOA policy. Page 14, section C. My neighbor's hydrangeas are taller." He shrugs. "Maybe we haven't gotten to them yet." Of course. They haven't gotten to the White families yet. I lower my voice. "He took my wheelchair. That's not just harassment. It's criminal." His smile vanishes. "Judge or not, this community has rules. If you can't follow them." "If I can't what?" I challenge. "Live here? Or pretend this isn't racially targeted?" He bristles. "We don't discriminate." I lean in. "But you do erase. And I won't be erased." I wheel out without another word. But my hands are shaking. Back home I make calls. I reach out to Ava, my law clerk turned civil rights attorney. I tell her everything. He doesn't hesitate. "I'll be there tonight. Bring everything you have." That night she arrives with her laptop, legal pads, and fire in her eyes. We review documents. Print every notice. Compile every inconsistency. We even check public meeting logs. "Got something," she says. "Last quarter's HOA budget. $4,500 listed under Beautification Compliance Enforcement." "What does that mean?" I ask. "It means they're spending HOA dues to fund selective enforcement. Probably hired a third-party contractor. Likely off the books." We dig deeper. Ava finds residents on the HOA Facebook page complaining, quietly, carefully, about disappearing items, altered citations, and silent fines. All of them black or brown. Next morning Ava and I go door to door. We speak to the Rodriguezes on Maple Lane. Their basketball hoop was confiscated. We meet Mrs. Ahmed. Her Eid decorations were taken down for violating seasonal decor policy. We meet Cameron, a young black father whose toddler's tricycle was tagged as clutter. Patterns. Stories. Proof. We gather affidavits. Photos. Dates. Names. But that's not the bombshell. 2 days later, Ava returns holding a USB drive like it's made of gold. Got into the contractor's website, she says. They list Willow Creek under partnerships. Scroll down. And there it is, photos of confiscated, unauthorized items. One of them is my wheelchair. They posed with it. Like a trophy. My stomach turns. This is enough, Ava says. We can take this to the press, the court, the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Anywhere. No, I say. Not yet. She frowns. Why? Because I want to look Granger in the eye when he realizes who he messed with. The storm is coming. The facade of order is cracking. And for the first time in weeks I feel something new. Control. The HOA's monthly board meeting is usually a sleepy affair, half attended by retirees arguing about mailbox paint colors. But tonight word has spread. Something's coming. The community room is packed. Neighbors stand shoulder to shoulder. A few glance at me and look away. Others offer stiff nods. Ava stands beside me, arms crossed, eyes burning holes into the back of Martin Granger's skull. He takes his usual seat at the front of the room, flanked by two other board members, both white, both silent. Bethany types furiously into her laptop. Granger taps his gavel with theatrical flair. Let's get started. I wheel forward slowly. He notices. His lips curl into a grin. Judge Cole, he says loudly for the room. Is there a violation you'd like to address? Another wheelchair out of alignment, perhaps. A few chuckles ripple through the room. I stop dead center. Actually, Mr. Granger, yes. I'd like to discuss theft, discrimination, and abuse of authority. A silence falls. He tilts his head. Big words for simple matters. I hold up a file folder. This contains sworn statements from 6 residents of color who've experienced targeted enforcement, unjust citations, and unlawful item removals. One of those items was my medical wheelchair. He waves a hand. If items are left in view, they violate code. I have proof, I interrupt, voice even. Photos from your third-party contractor's website. They posted trophies. Including mine. A murmur rises from the crowd. Someone gasps. Granger's jaw tightens. You had no right, I continue. Not just legally. Morally. You knew exactly what you were doing. Selective enforcement. Racial profiling. Erasure masked as order. Granger rises slowly, trying to control the narrative. This is slander. Baseless accusations. She's using her position to intimidate this board. I haven't used my position once, I say. But maybe I should. I take a breath and let the silence thicken before continuing. For the record, I lift my gaze to the audience. I am Judge Dana Cole. Appointed to the United States District Court. I have jurisdiction over federal ADA violations. I've tried civil rights cases involving housing discrimination. I know this law better than most. Now it's Granger's turn to blink. He tries to recover. Then you should know our bylaws. I do. And your contractor's budget is in violation of Article 4.7. Unauthorized expenditures for enforcement actions must be approved by vote. There was no vote. Just coercion. Bethany stops typing. And let's not forget, Ava chimes in, stepping forward. Section 8.2. Any resident targeted unfairly due to disability, race, or protected class is entitled to financial restitution and immediate cessation of discriminatory practices. We've already submitted this to HUD. A full investigation is underway. Granger scoffs. You think a few papers and stories are enough to bring this board down? No, I reply calmly. But this will. I raise my phone and press play. On the speaker, Granger's voice spills out, recorded from my earlier visit. If you can't follow them. If I can't what? Live here. The room explodes. Gasps. Outrage. A few stand up. Others whisper furiously. One board member quietly stands and walks out. Granger stammers, color draining from his face. That's out of context. You tried to intimidate me, I say, holding his gaze. You tried to erase me. I look around the room. You did it to many of us. Mrs. Ahmed stands. He removed my holiday lights. Cameron speaks up. My son cried when they took his trike. The Rodriguezes raised their hands. Our hoop was gone within hours. The room becomes a chorus of voices. Louder, more confident. Truth swelling like a tide. Granger backs up sweating. You people are twisting this. I was just enforcing rules. You people. Ava repeats, deadly quiet. He freezes. Too late. The mask is off. And there's no putting it back on. I'll see you in court, Mr. Granger, I say. And this time I'll be wearing the robe. The gavel lies untouched on the table now. Justice is no longer waiting at the door. It's already inside. Granger storms out of the meeting, flushed and furious, mumbling something about calling legal. But he doesn't get far. 2 uniformed federal agents are already waiting just outside the clubhouse doors. Ava had called them earlier just in case. Mr. Martin Granger? One asks, holding out a badge. We'd like to speak with you regarding your role in several potential violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act and Fair Housing Act. Granger stiffens. This is harassment. This is political. It's federal, the agent replies coldly. The crowd spills outside, murmuring like a wave. Cell phones are out. Cameras rolling. Someone whispers, is he being arrested? Not yet. But he looks like he's already crumbling. The agents escort him to a black SUV while Bethany hovers by the door, pale and shaking. She tries to slip away through the side entrance, but Ava intercepts her. You might want to lawyer up too, Ava says smoothly. Your name is all over the meeting logs. That's when the Real flood begins. Within hours, the video of Granger's recorded comment, if you can't follow them, live here, is on TikTok, Instagram, even Twitter. The hashtags #wheelchairjudge and #HOinjustice trend nationwide. I stay quiet. Let the story spread. I don't need to scream. The truth is already shouting for me. 2 days later, Channel 7 News parks a van outside Willow Creek. The reporter stands by the entrance sign, her voice urgent. Tonight, we bring you the story of Judge Dana Cole, an esteemed federal judge whose wheelchair was wrongfully confiscated by her HOA in what appears to be a targeted campaign of racial and ableist harassment. They pan to residents speaking out. The Rodriguezes describe years of silent threats. Mrs. Ahmed breaks down, recalling her child's tears when their holiday lights were yanked down. And then a new voice enters the story. A young white man in a maintenance uniform. Name tag, Jason. He speaks hesitantly, looking over his shoulder. I was part of the contractor crew they hired. We were told to only tag certain homes, ones with non-compliant aesthetics. That was code. Everyone knew what it meant. The reporter leans in. Code 4. He swallows. For people who weren't white. Did you remove a wheelchair? He nods. They said it was abandoned. It was right by the front door. I knew it wasn't trash. Why didn't you say anything then? He glances at the camera. Because I needed the job. But it was wrong. All of it. Ava and I watched the broadcast from my living room, her laptop open, already filling out paperwork. Jason just handed us gold, she says. That's our whistleblower. And then she gets another email. HUD has opened an immediate investigation. They've reviewed our complaint. Interviews will begin this week. But the real twist comes the next morning. A letter slides under my door. Emergency HOA board restructuring. Effective immediately, Martin Granger is suspended from his role as HOA president pending investigation. An emergency vote will be held to appoint interim leadership. Due to community concern, all enforcement actions are frozen until further notice. A smile tugs at the corners of my mouth. The letter isn't signed, but I recognize the handwriting. One of the former silent board members. The same one who walked out mid-meeting. It's starting. A week later, the community holds a special town hall. I don't want to go, but Ava insists. You started the fire. You should see it burn. We enter to a standing ovation. I don't smile. I just nod and wheel to the front. Judge Cole, someone says from the crowd, thank you for showing us what was happening under our noses. Another voice calls, we're so sorry. We should have said something sooner. I'm not the one you need to apologize to, I reply. They shift in their seats, ashamed. Good. Because it wasn't just Granger. It was the silence. The quiet approval. The unwillingness to see. Granger's downfall wasn't just karma. It was the result of resistance, truth, and one woman refusing to stay in her place. Now his name is splattered across headlines. HOA president faces federal scrutiny over racial targeting scandal. Federal judge exposes housing discrimination in affluent community. Bethany resigns within days. Jason is interviewed on multiple networks, now a local hero. And Granger? He's hiding behind a no comment, facing civil penalties, criminal investigation, and a reputation in ruins. Funny. He always wanted control. Now he can't even control the narrative. And that's the twist he never saw coming. I didn't just expose him. I erased the illusion that people like him could silence people like me. Now the only thing they hear is our voice. The first time I see Granger again, it's not in a courtroom. It's on the 6 o'clock news, being led out of his home in handcuffs. He's wearing a sweatshirt, no smug smile, no air of superiority. Just a pale, hollow man with cameras flashing in his face and neighbors watching from their porches. The same porches he once patrolled like a self-appointed sheriff. The charges are official now. Civil rights violations. Fraudulent misuse of HOA funds. Abuse of authority. His assets are frozen. His reputation, a pile of ashes. His wife filed for separation the day after the investigation hit the press. His own kids removed their last name from their social media bios. Karma didn't knock on his door. Kicked it in. Ava and I sit beneath the old oak in my backyard, the one I planted 10 years ago when we first moved in. It survived Granger's crusade. Just like me. She's sipping iced tea, legs kicked up. They're holding a vote to rename the community center, she says casually. I raise a brow. Let me guess. The Dana Cole Civic Hall. He smirks. More like Freedom Hall. But it has your name written all over it. I laugh for the first time in weeks. It feels real this time. Not forced. Not like armor. The neighborhood is different now. Kids play without glancing over their shoulders. Mrs. Ahmed has new solar lights in her garden. Rainbow ones. The Rodriguezes painted their fence bright blue. No citations. No angry notices. It's like the air has shifted. People stop me on the street, not to avoid me but to thank me. Apologize. Ask how they can help others now. Some of them even admit they looked the other way before. I just didn't know what to say, one woman confessed. I thought silence was safer. I told her, silence is the language of the oppressor. Speak. And she did. I returned to work a few days later. The courthouse lobby smells like pine and old wood polish. Familiar. Comforting. Clerks nod. Bailiffs grin. Even the marble feels warmer. As I wheel into my chambers, my assistant hands me an envelope. Inside, a handwritten note. You reminded us that justice isn't just what happens in courtrooms. It's what we demand in our communities. Thank you. No signature. Doesn't need one. That night, I sit alone in the dark, lights off, the soft hum of wind against my windows. And I cry. Not out of grief. Not from pain. But from the weight of survival. From knowing I didn't let them win. They saw a black woman in a wheelchair and assumed weakness. What they didn't see, what they never counted on, was the fire I kept buried just beneath my ribs. The one that says, you don't get to erase me. Outside, wind chimes ring gently. Inside, peace. Hard won. Earned. Justice isn't just a verdict. It's a heartbeat. Mine. It's steady now.